Oh, it's another one.
Okay, so today we're out here with the AlgoForce, brand new company, brand new detector. This is the E1500. Essentially, this is the pulse induction metal detector specifically for gold prospecting. I've done very little gold prospecting, so I'm not an absolute expert, but I've used a few PIs before. Generally, they're really, really heavy. This is super, super light. So that's the first thing that stands out about it. And as I'm using it throughout the day, I'm just gonna kind of point out things I noticed. So far, I've dug a few targets and one little tiny piece of gold. We'll get a picture of that on screen. Second target actually. So far it's super stable. I'm finding it really, really easy. This is just my initial opinion, and as I go out throughout the day, I'm gonna just call out little things I'm noticing. Yeah, it's an interesting machine. All right, let's get into it.
This is a little bit of footage from a few days of testing the new AlgoForce E1500 in the Victorian Golden Triangle. My intention was to find out how well it goes and if it stacks up well enough to bring it into our store as well.
Very interestingly, this machine actually has a form of target ID. So it's kind of been a pipe dream for a lot of hardcore prospectors to have some kind of target ID on their pulse induction detector. And this has a form of target ID. It's not going to discriminate out iron, but it gives you an idea of the size of the target really. And the conductivity essentially. So it's called the conductive target ID. And the bigger it is, so it only works when you're in pinpoint mode. And when you hit it and you go over something, it'll give you a number. I'll just put my sunnies down and we've got a number there, 25, right? So generally the smaller it is, the smaller that number. And lead shot, really, really small lead shot is almost always 0, 0. While like apparently almost all gold is not 0, 0. Depends on the shape and size obviously. But yeah, it's really interesting. So I've been IDing everything. I'm just gonna keep using a target ID on every target before I dig it. And for example, if there's a ton of one type of target that's littered everywhere, I'm just gonna start avoiding digging those. It could be a really powerful tool in some situations, and it's something that no other PI detector has. So let's see how it goes. So I've actually owned a few pulse induction detectors before, and the first thing you'll notice is they're really susceptible to interference. So if you try and use them inside, they go insane. But this one's really, really, really immune to EMI compared to most pulse induction detectors. So some users have even shown themselves working under power lines, which is pretty much not a thing with pulse induction detectors. And I can use this inside at about 20 out of 30 sensitivity, and it's almost completely stable, depending on the day. Yeah, that's a really, really interesting. Even if it's not the most powerful detector, it definitely might have a niche in detecting under high interference areas. Okay, we just got a target. It's actually really small target. So if I go above it, nothing. If I go below it, nothing. So it's very, very small. We're trying target ID. I doubt we'll get any target ID. Zero and one, mainly 0. Okay, we've moved it. Lead shot. One of the smaller pieces. Cool. Nice thing about a little coil is you can just kind of bulldoze the leaf litter out of the way. So it's this machine. Oh, it is actually a target there. That's a super faint target actually. Yeah, if I didn't bulldoze that leaf litter, I wouldn't have got it, because this leaf litter is like adding another inch or 2 on top. So if you just, with this small coil, you can just bulldoze it all out of the way. Get another inch of depth, and a lot of the time these targets are only inch deep in the first place, so you're really getting all the depth back that you would lose. We'll put out the headphones and listen to that bit that I just bulldozed. See if we can get a target ID, but it's very faint, so probably not. It's just too faint to even pinpoint at all, so get nothing. Give it a reground balance. It's still quite stable, so that's the main thing. This is going to be so small. It's a micro pellet, extra small variety. Just goes to show that bulldozing that bit of leaf litter up the top, that was the difference between finding that piece and not finding it. So I'm just going to keep bulldozing like that. It works really well with a little coil because it's so easy to push. Definitely gets targets that you wouldn't otherwise get. So we've got from Pete here.
Shout out to Pete's Gold Adventures. Thanks, mate.
3 pieces of gold he's found. This he just found at the spot where we're at, and then a couple just from another spot. And we're just going to run over them really quickly with the E1500 to see what it sounds like. Just go over that specimen. So this is in fine gold, not the ultra fine. Probably inch-ish depth-wise. And then that larger piece. How deep do you reckon that is? That's like 4 inches.
Maybe 3, 2, 3.
Screaming on that. And then the littler piece, I'll just leave that there. And then touching it.
Still a substantial signal, hey?
Yeah, I found that if this is not screaming, then it's just going to be probably a hot rock. Especially if it's not a short signal.
Yeah.
It's kind of long and drawn out. Every time today, it's just been a pile of hot rocks. If you all of them on top of each other, and then if you spread them out, the target disappears, and if you put them back in the hole, then the target comes back. So it's funny.
Especially be sub 0.1, and that little one will be sub 0.1.
Cool. Yeah. So it's doing good.
So if it's finding sub 0.1s, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and it can go down to ultra fine, but it's a bit more unstable on this ground. So I'm just got it in fine, which is the next one up.
Do you want to do a comparison with the 6?
Sure. Yeah,
so you
why
can
not?
Sort of say, oh, this is what it sounded like.
Yeah, exactly.
awesome.
That one, and then you give this one.
Okay, I've got Pete's 6000, and it's with a 12x7 nugget finder. Anything else I need to know? That's in harsh ground?
Yeah, that's in difficult.
Difficult, yeah. And we'll just go over the specimen. Pete reckons that's sub 0.1, so that's pretty good. And then the bigger one, the biggest one of them all.
Yeah, that's got some nice depth.
Nice. And then we'll go for the small nugget one. It's a very small, sharp signal, isn't it? Like, it doesn't draw out at all. It's just very compact. Cool. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, see, there's not a lot of difference between the two, actually. So.
Yeah, air testing, but
Air testing, yeah.
also this isn't difficult, which brings it down a notch, doesn't it?
It does, but
Yeah.
being the ground around here is quite mineralised, you sort of basically have to run it in difficult.
Yeah,
If
okay.
you ran in normal, it'd be just...
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, well, that's in something that I'm happy to run right now.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not optimal. I've only got a few hours on it, but cool.
Now, if you go to the
That's
gold
interesting.
fields around Ballarat, where there's no mineralisation,
Yep.
a lot less mineralisation on the pipe clay,
Yep. Yeah.
that would star.
Yeah, that's where we got to play with the VLFs last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was good.
So the VLFs, well, that's the Monster, your gold cruiser probably won't work so great up here because
They do not.
the ironstone is
It's horrible.
it's quite aggressive. So,
Thank you very much.
No worries.
Appreciate it. Finding hot rocks give a much broader and wobbly signal so far on every occasion, while something that's actually a target just gives a much more distinct, crisp sound. So come and have a look at this. It's very faint. It's very, relative to the others, very small. So when I go slightly above it, it's gone. When I go slightly below it, it's totally gone too. So definitely small, It's a really nice signal, and I'm going to pinpoint target ID it. We've got some numbers, so I think that's a really good sign, honestly. I'm pretty excited about that target. Still in there. I believe that's a more crisp signal than the lead shots, but I could be wrong. It sounded like nicer and more crisp than the round lead shot pieces, but we'll see in a second. Yeah, it was this. So I thought it did sound a little bit more crisp, and yeah, it's totally flattened bit of lead. I reckon that gave a nicer, crisper signal than the round pieces. Cool, just got a target here. So you can see that's a little bit of interference and stuff coming through from the camera and other detectors nearby. And then when you get a target, anything that comes above that little dotted line will make a sound. You can see that those 3 swings I just did. You don't need a lot of finesse with this detector. It's good actually. So you can hear it now, and I'll turn the threshold up a bit so you can hear it a bit easier. And you can just push it and pull it through scrub and rocks and stuff, and it's so stable. Make much noise with the bumps and stuff, so it's really easy to use. If you get a sound, it's actually going to be something. It's not just going to be EMI, it's not going to be a bumping the coil or anything. So it's really ridiculously easy to use so far. But with broad targets, they're often ground noise or like a pocket of hot rocks. But anything sharp is always a target so far, yeah. Got a fairly substantial signal. You want to have a look at this? Pinpoint. Got a 7 around there. Cool. Let's have a look. Got it. Yeah, it's nice and easy to visualize where the target is of this coil. Got him. One of the bigger pieces, lead shot. Yeah, so far, and it's a bit flattened. So I think if they've got a flat side to them, you'll get an ID, especially if they're bigger bits of lead shot. But if they're round, especially if they're small, then you're going to get a 0, 0 on the target ID. That's what I'm figuring out so far. So that's the collection so far. Second piece was a bit of gold, and so far we're at about 15-ish pieces. 15, 20. One of them is a bit of gold. It's absolutely tiny. But that was actually a lot stronger signal than some of the lead shot, weirdly, considering how small it is. Let's keep going. Yeah, so in terms of setting it up and using it so far, all you got to do is when you put a coil on, you just calibrate that coil. You just press calibrate. You change the name of the coil so that it's what the coil is. So I've got 9x9 because this is just a 9-inch round mono. And then you just press calibrate, and that's done, and you never have to do that again. And when you change coil, you've got 4 pre-selected coils you have saved in it. So I've got a couple saved in it so far. And then when you're actually using it, there's a few different modes you can put it in. So you go to that little search coil, you can go between these 4. So you got ultra fine, fine, normal, and large. Basically, you'd go up this scale if you were either after larger gold or if the ground gets hotter. So if the ground gets really hot, and you're detecting a lot of hot rocks, or it's just going off its head, then you might want to go up another one and then re-ground balance. So yeah, just basically I've just put it in this one because it just works fine. That's the name I suggested. It's working fine. The ultra fine was working all right as well. I was just detecting a few hot rocks here. But then when you're out of the menu, just hold this one and ground balance every now and then. Now this white bar in the middle, as it grows, that suggests that it's out of ground balance. So if it gets really big, that white bar, it needs re-ground balancing. All you have to do is hold this button and pump it a few times, and then it will re-ground balance. Really, really easy. So that's it. Just selecting what coil you have, just probably the same coil you used last time. choosing a mode, probably the same mode you had on last time, and then ground balancing every now and then. That's pretty much it. You might want to adjust the sensitivity up and down if you're getting interference, which is just plus or minus. And that's pretty much using it. Easy. I got something super faint. I just brushed it with my boot and now I have a slightly stronger signal. It's very crisp, very small. Really hoping it's gold. Okay, have a listen. Hopefully you can hear that. So actually it's way out of ground balance. So the ground balance needs to be right for the ID to be right. So I'll just re-ground balance. That's really screaming. Okay, that's the ID apparently. Oh, it's actually gold. That's gold, my friends. Woo! It's a tiny bit. I'm stoked. Clean it up a little bit and try not to lose it. There we go.
Woohoo!
Nice.
Gold.
Cool. So cool. So we just got that little bit of gold about 2 feet away from where I'm standing here. And I've just got another similar signal right here, so could be another one. I just marked it with that rock so I knew where it was. I reckon it's his little brother.
I hope so. I hope it's his big brother actually.
Yeah. Shake it to the bottom. Oh, it's another one. It's another one. Back to back. Clean that up a little bit. Try not to eat the thing. It's so hard to even hold. I'm scared to drop it. Oh, it's clean enough, honestly. Cool. It's another one. I just put it over the coil again so you can hear it. Nice. So as well as being able to use pretty much any coil you want, any of those monos that I talked about earlier, you can use pretty much any battery you want. It doesn't come with one, but pretty much any battery pack, like power pack that you charge your phone off that has USB ports in it, you can run it off that. And something like this size will give you like 20 hours runtime. You can use whatever size weight you want to get the balance you want or the weight you want. You can adjust it too so it's kind of balances better. Yeah, it's pretty cool because then you can have a spare one in your car or in your pack if you forgot to charge this or if you wanted to go many hours straight. And you can charge your other stuff off this too while you're going. So if you forget to charge your GoPro or your Bluetooth or your headphones or whatever, you can charge them on the go too because you're always going to have that battery pack with you. It's pretty cool.
So I just wanted to wrap up with my thoughts on this new detector, the AlgoForce. And like I mentioned, I'm not an expert, but I found the E1500 to be really easy. It's insanely sensitive to small targets, and it's super stable over minerals and around interference. I've used a few PIs, and near any interference, like I mentioned, they go berserk. Now, I've talked to the owner, Alex, and he was a Minelab engineer at one point and worked on the GPX 6000, so that's an interesting bit of info there. And we did end up getting them in our store. We've got them in our store now because I just thought it's a genuinely good bit of kit. So if you've got any questions or comments about this detector, feel free to comment below or email or call us. Thanks for watching.